You're listening to Prosperity Report, Love and Money Podcast. I'm your host, Kanae Corder, best-selling author, international speaker, and clinical hypnotherapist specializing in financial therapy. Each week, we'll bring you actionable ideas, tips, tools, and resources to help you get the mindset shift you need to feel more confident personally and financially, so you can reduce stress, work less, and make a huge impact on your world and your income. Now, let's get into today's show. How long have you been trying to find the confidence to go all in on building and selling your coaching program? 6 months? A year? More? It took me a while to really get my business off the ground too. I was confused, overwhelmed, and I felt like I was competing with all the other coaches out there. I was scared I would fail. And guess what? I pretty much did. My first coaching business crashed with the markets back in 2009. But I had to remind myself, the business failed. I didn't. Now I have 7 income streams, most of them passive, a thriving coaching business, and hundreds of students in my course. I've learned a thing or two, and I want to share all that with you. Join me in my upcoming free masterclass, the 3 behind-the-scenes secrets to one-on-one coaching success in 2009 and beyond. I'll teach you the right way to start and how to produce more profits if you already have a coaching business of your own. Register for free today. Go to kanaecorder.com/masterclass. Learn the 3 behind-the-scenes secrets to one-on-one coaching success in 2009 and beyond. Register today. kanaecorder.com/masterclass. It's time. Hey there.
Happy Friday, everyone.
Oh my gosh, look who's back.
We're back. It's like we never left.
No, and I am so freaking excited, like so excited to have you back.
Aw, likewise.
Yes. So people, this is a Friday activation with our old co-host, Leah. Yay. So as you know, we've been doing Friday activation for like a year now. We started talking about the Red Table Talks, and then that kind of evolved into us bringing in other videos and podcasts and other things that we were enjoying and learning from. And today we decided that we're going to do today's Friday activation on our favorite apps, books, podcasts, and videos. So get ready to really fill your resource tank with some good stuff, because I have good stuff, but Leah really has good stuff. I think that's my favorite part about being your friend.
That I'm a learning junkie.
Yes. Yeah. And you share it. You don't just like learn it and then hold it in and then show us all how much you know. You share it. I love that.
Yeah. You know what sticks with me is the quote, "You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." And the truth is, not everyone is exposed to the level of people that they want to be surrounded by. Oftentimes left up to where you live geographically or, who you have access to. But what's been so cool about TED Talks and YouTube and just the internet in general is you can hand select the people that shape you. And so that's what today is all about. It's all about surrounding ourselves with the people that we aspire to be like or that we aspire to learn from.
That is so good. Yep. Because you can surround yourself with the Dr. Shafali's, the Joe Dispenzas, whoever, the Ed Milet's. You can surround yourself with them by listening to their podcasts, watching their videos, engaging in their books. Yeah. Such a great way to think about that. Because a lot of times people are thinking, well, if I can't reach that person, then I can't surround myself with them. And I'm just stuck with these friends I have. Yeah. But you just put a different perspective on that, a little bit of a spin. I like it.
Yeah.
So let's jump in. So how it will work, we're going to focus on 4 areas, which hopefully will allow us to talk about a lot of things in a short amount of time. But we're going to focus on wellness, wealth, love, and life. So, Leah, I'll let you choose. Which one do you want to start with? Wealth, wellness, love, or life?
I'm going to start with love.
Ooh.
It's a topic that I find endlessly fascinating. And I think I want to frame it through the lens of this quote, that the quality of our relationships determines the quality of our lives. Esther Perel, who I'll talk about momentarily, says many of us will have stellar resumes, but we won't necessarily have stellar eulogies. And that's because we're conditioned to do the things that are rewarded by society. And for a lot of people, I would say even men in particular, that's career related.
Yep.
But you're not going to have all of the people that you've reached throughout your career unless you developed really meaningful relationships. You're not going to have those people, at your funeral, frankly.
Right.
So on that happy note, So this is an area that I'm extremely passionate about. I'm endlessly fascinated by psychology and human dynamics. And obviously, love and connection is a big part of that. So there are a couple people who I really, really turn to. They're my go-tos. And the first is Esther Perel. I feel like we've talked about her on some of the other episodes we've done together before.
Yes, absolutely.
But she is a Belgian-born psychologist. Her entire family was wrapped up in the Holocaust, and her parents were each the sole survivors in very large families coming out of the Holocaust. And they fled to Belgium as refugees and ended up staying there. And Esther talks frequently about how that experience of being the outsider and in a lot of ways living in fear and also having kind of a cultural perspective. She speaks 9 languages and she works mainly in the US, but she's obviously not US born. She talks about how all of those experiences have shaped her view of human connection.
Okay. So does Esther have books, podcasts, videos? How do you connect with Esther?
I mean, she is a prolific speaker.
Oh, okay.
She pretty much spends the majority of her time traveling. She's been the opening keynote at South by Southwest.
Yes, I saw her on TED Talk.
Yep, she's done 2 different TED Talks, with millions and millions of views each.
Yes, and I think we should mention that those 2 TED Talks are on infidelity and really turning infidelity on its head and giving you a much different perspective than what you're probably used to hearing, especially women. I definitely want to say. Yeah.
Her first TED Talk was a super interesting, I guess, paradox she frames it as.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it that couples that love each other more than ever aren't always having great or frequent sex? There's this assumption, especially with the ideals of romanticism, that a great marriage equals great sex or a great emotional connection equals great sex. And what she found is that's not often true. There are couples that would come in and say, we love each other more than ever, and we never have sex. And so she looked at that paradox deeply in this book. And what she found is that love and desire, they relate, but they often conflict. The very things that cultivate love, like security, predictability, dependability, the expected, is the opposite of what fuels desire, which would be kind of that mystery, that risk, that unknown, that novelty. And so she closes the book by sharing ways in which if you are in a long-term relationship and the love is really solid in there and you don't have any desire to split or to end it, how can you incorporate those ideas of desire, mystery, novelty, the unexpected, a little risk, and re-spark that flame? So that was her first book and her first TED Talk.
Okay. Yeah. That's an interesting topic. And it actually makes me think of, and I know this is like love is like your subject right now, but I do have this video that I love so much, and it's called Understanding My Relationship. And understandingmyrelationship.com is how you get to it.
Okay.
And it kind of gives that similar idea that normally the whole opposites attract thing. And like you said, it might be some safety and security there. And so the spark and the va boom or whatever might go down. And so this video, both of these, but especially Esther's, because I think she does such a great job of simplifying it. And it's common. I'm not alone.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And she does do a beautiful job. I mean, if there's one thing that I think the majority of her audience is drawn to, because a lot of her following, they're not necessarily just psychologists or just therapists or coaches. It's a lot of just the general public. And I think the reason why is she writes and speaks so poetically. You know, I mentioned she speaks 9 different languages, and her vocabulary is just like an artist painting a picture. It's really, really beautiful. And so she does simplify it. And she has a very direct way about her. And she also has a great sense of humor and playfulness. But she also is extremely poetic and very thoughtful in the language she uses. So Esther, she has her 2 books on desire and love, and then the second on infidelity. She has a TED Talk, same topics. She also did a very well-known and loved podcast on audible.com called Where Should We Begin? And it's simulated couples therapy. So people would write in, they would share a problem, and for 10 episodes each season, she would showcase a different relationship challenge through the lens of that couple. So it was recorded over 3 hours and then edited down to about a 30 to 45-minute show. It's all different types of couples, different challenges, long-standing infidelity, a gay couple where one person wanted a kid and the other didn't, and they ended up having a kid, and the challenges that resulted, couples dealing with sexual trauma, couples dealing with the constraints of religion's view of what's appropriate sexually and what they want to do. Basically, every topic related to relationships.
Yeah, that is so good. So in the love area, we've got the TED Talk. So that's the video side. We have the books. We have the podcast on Audible. Are they still available, you think?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great. And so that's the podcast, the books, the videos. Any love apps? I don't even think I have any love apps. Now that I just said that. Do you?
When you say a love app, would it be an app that teaches you like love concepts?
No, not if you say that. I guess I used to have Tinder before I got Keith.
Oh, okay. Are you talking about dating apps?
Well, I just meant love apps. And then I didn't even know where that was going until I said it out loud. But now that I did, I was like, shoot, I used to have Tinder in my apps, and that was a love app.
That's a really good segue for my second one for love, which is my favorite, Dr. Shefali Sabari. She actually has all of her courses on an app called Teachable, which is the main way that I use them.
Okay.
She's another voice. Esther is maybe a little bit more accessible for the mainstream. Dr. Shefali, I would equate her to like an Eckhart Tolle or a Byron Katie. Pretty far.
And a little bit more easier to understand, because hands down, her conscious parenting and her manifestation videos are the 2 videos I send my patients the most. And not just my patients, but my patients' parents, because a lot of times I see teenagers and I'm constantly sending it to the adults, like, watch this video. And I sometimes send them 4 versions. Like, I'm like, here's her on Impact Theory. Here she is on Oprah.
It's a fair point. I would say in terms of her appeal, Oprah said in the 30 years I've been doing interviews, she's one of the best I've ever seen. So that gives you a sense of the experience you'll get when you watch her. But in terms of, Oprah also said about her, this is revolutionary content that's ahead of its time, meaning that it's maybe not for someone who's just starting out on their self-evolution journey. The concepts that she talks about and kind of the ask that she makes of her audience is pretty evolved. A lot of it's grounded in Eastern thought, Buddhism, but it's my favorite thing. I'm doing a course with her now called Free to Be. It's about conscious relationships and feeling free in your relationships and having the skills to allow the other person to be free in a relationship. And it's endlessly fascinating. It's every Wednesday night, and she does an hour with us of sharing wisdom. And then she does an hour of not therapy, but she has a conversation with a couple who we're seeing over a 10-week period. And it's a fascinating couple. They were married for a long time in a very dysfunctional relationship. And then they separated, and they each did their own personal work individually. No contact, I think, for 3 years. And then they happened to come back together, not really intentionally. It wasn't like, okay, we're going to go our separate ways and come back together. But they had kids that they were both involved with. Didn't have kids together, but each had their own family.
Oh, okay.
They were very close during their marriage, obviously. And so they reconnected kind of through their kids. And the level that they're operating at, it really floors me. And they certainly have their challenges. The last episode, Dr. Shefali did an exercise with a man who had repeated sexual trauma at a very young age to help him tap into the little boy that he was at that age and give him permission to feel like he didn't do anything wrong, because there was a lot of shame and a lot of like, I should have known better and I should have stopped this and I didn't, and what's wrong with me, all of that. So she did a session on that. But she's just really, really masterful. So Dr. Shefali, her website has probably over a dozen different courses that she offers. They're all better than the next for anyone who's interested in meditation through what Kanae has done with Insight Timer. She has some really great meditation programs and, mindfulness programs. So Dr. Shefali, for sure. Start with Esther Perel. And then if you're like a year or two in, check out that.
Dr. Shefali has some really great videos and interviews on other shows. So you can get to her even without going to her website, but we'll put her website, put those videos. Does Dr. Shefali have a book?
Oh, yeah. She has a couple. Oh. The Conscious Parent.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm.
And then the previous one was The Awakened Family. They're on Audible as well, so you can check them out there.
Okay. Yay. So we started with love. We got Esther. We got Dr. Shefali. I guess from there, we could go to wellness. What do you think?
Let's do it.
All right. So wellness is one of my favorite subjects. So somebody that you introduced me to a little while ago was Sean Stevenson and the Model Health Show.
Yeah.
So that podcast is one of my favorites. It's long as heck, usually. It's not a short podcast, so you definitely have to invest time.
Usually, would you say like an hour an episode?
Yeah, usually an hour, a little over sometimes. I mean, Sean can go, but he has so much information. And one of the reasons why I like listening so much is because he talks a lot about two places that we have as our wellness foundation and Prosperity Club, and that's nutrition and sleep. Like without those two, forget about working out. Doesn't even matter. Right. If you don't get the nutrition right and you're not getting sleep, then your body is still going to be unwell or is going to have disease or inflammation. So I love the Model Health Show. That's my favorite wellness podcast. And Sean is funny, easy to listen to. And he's not trying to make it so heavy. Because a lot of times you listen into these health or wellness podcasts and everything is so serious and heavy and you feel wrong. Like, oh, I'm messed up. Like it's too late for me. I can't even try any of this stuff because they make you feel almost guilty or bad. And nobody is bad because they don't have enough information.
Yeah. Like almost like they're up on a pedestal talking down to you. Yeah. You don't get that with Sean, even though he's crazy knowledgeable on all the topics. I would also add that he definitely uses sleep and nutrition as the foundation, but his show, he talks about relationships. He talks about mindfulness. He talks about the whole spectrum that would impact, levels of stress, depression, long-term illnesses like diabetes and cancer. He really covers the whole spectrum, which I also appreciate because they all are interconnected.
Totally. I agree. So I would also say Chalene Johnson, who actually I learned about Chalene Johnson from the Model Health podcast. Yeah. So she has a great show too. And same thing. She kind of talks like wellness is her foundation, but she talks about decluttering and time management. But overall, it comes back to her talking about wellness. And she talks a lot more about physical activity than Sean might, but she also talks a lot about nutrition lately. And what I love about Shalene is that for a very, very, very long time, she was in the fitness space. And when she was in the fitness space, it, I guess you would say, drove her to do some things that she wouldn't necessarily broadcast or writing her books or put on her infomercials. So she was basically starving herself to get to this body so she would look good on television while she was doing the infomercials. But when women would come to her, she's like, oh yeah, do the diet, do this, do that. She would tell them what to do, what was in her books, but she wasn't doing it. And so lately she's come out and just said, I haven't been doing it the way that I should. And she got this from going to Dr. Amen. And Dr. Amen in the Amen Clinic is, I don't even know where to put him, I guess in books, but Dr. Amen does a lot of research on the brain. He does, I think, fMRIs to determine what's happening in your brain. And what's happening in your brain is going to tell you what's happening in your body, whether you like it or not. And so Shalene went to Dr. Amen. Dr. Amen told her, like, you have the brain of like an 80-year-old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So she had to make some major changes. But while she was making those major changes, she was doing research, which she put into a book called 131 Method, just recently came out, like I think April. And so the 131 Method is one of my favorite nutrition books. It is way up there. And I've read a lot of nutrition books, but this one makes nutrition so much fun, so easy, so simple. You can't get it wrong. And the reason why you can't get it wrong is because you get to do what you want to do. She's like, here are the guidelines. Now just fit somewhere in there. You don't have to call yourself vegan. You don't have to call yourself paleo. You don't have to call yourself keto. Like, you don't have to have a title. You can just eat good food. And not even good, I don't even want to say that, clean food, because none of the food is good or bad. Because let's face it, what works for me may not work for you.
True.
Over the years, like quinoa is supposed to be a healthy grain, right? It just doesn't work for my body. I hate that it doesn't work because I really want to like quinoa. In fact, I had this beautiful quinoa and kale salad that I used to make a lot. And now I still make kale salad, but it doesn't have quinoa in it.
When you say it doesn't work for your body, can you explain to listeners what you mean by that?
So yeah, quinoa, I think it causes bloating, if I had to like just put it out there. And that bloating probably cause inflammation, and inflammation is the beginning of any disease.
Yeah. I have a similar reaction to salt. Like, I'm super sensitive to salt. What ends up happening, like, you know, when you go out to eat, oftentimes the food is more heavily salted than you would do at home. So I had an instance where I went out to eat and I said, you know, I ordered salmon. I said, you know, no salt on it. And they brought it out and it had, you know, ton of salt on it. And I just didn't want to make a fuss. So I ended up having it. And I got home that night and my fingers and toes were like throbbing. Like, it was as if they had their own pulse each. And then you don't sleep well because your body's throbbing. And that's the effect that salt has on my body. Even just like a heavily salted piece of salmon, it's crazy. So I guess the takeaway is, you know, there is no one size fits all, and you really have to be in tune with your body and just make choices.
Yep. I'm glad you said that, because it's just like that, what you just described, right? So the nutrition is first, what you put in your body. You are what you eat, and then it affects your sleep. You can't relax. And then if you don't have a good night's sleep, then you're going to be likely more irritable the next day, because that's what the studies show. An hour less of sleep can make you more irritable, can raise your irritability level. And then you're more irritable, and likely because you didn't sleep, you're probably not going to get a workout in. Or if you do, it's not going to be as effective as it might have been. And so you see how these are all connected.
It's
yeah. Mm-hmm. So the 131 Method is one of my favorite books, but another one of my favorite books is Dr. Hyman's book, and that is the blood sugar book, because a lot of times people don't realize that what they're eating is causing their blood sugar to spike and then drop. And that drop in blood sugar, going back to irritability, a lot of times it's three things that affect irritability. You got grumpy people around you. It might be their blood sugar. It might be their dehydration. They might just need some water, and they might need some sleep.
especially if you have children. If you have children and you notice they're getting grumpy, get them some water, get them some sleep, or get them some protein or fat, because protein and fat are what helps regulate your blood sugar. All of these carbs that we have, and you think about it, every snack out there is carb.
Yeah.
It's so hard to find. I mean, I eat cashews and almonds and pumpkin seeds, and that's kind of like the fat snack. And Sean talks all about fat because people are so afraid of fat. What they should be afraid of is sugar.
Right.
So that's my books, Dr. Heyman and Shalene. That's my podcast, The Model Health Show. Videos, I would say Dr. Joe Dispenza was on Impact Theory. And I think he was on the Ed Milet show too. And both of those are like podcasts, but they also have a video version to them. And I typically listen to the podcast on my phone. And then when I'm going to send it to my patients, I typically find it on YouTube and send them the video version. So Dr. Dispenza, wherever he is, whatever video he's on, is priceless. Like, listen to it. He's so good. Yeah. But specifically on the Ed Milet and the Impact Theory ones, he's talking about using the power of your mind to heal yourself, to really get in line with your body. Now, kind of what you said about Dr. Shivali, Dr. Dispenza is like, he's like third or fourth tier. He's not your intro to wellness. Because it's going to get pretty woo-woo and complicated if you haven't even gotten the basics down. So I say start with Sean Stevenson, move on to Shalene, and then go to Dr. Dispenza. And I guess you can throw Dr. Amen and Dr. Hyman in there. Another doctor I really like is Dr. Diamata, and that is the blood type diet. That he has a book, but he also has an app, and that is my ultimate favorite app of all apps. If my phone deleted every app on my phone, if you said you can only have one app, I would choose the blood type app.
That's fascinating.
It has changed my life.
Can you give an example of how it works?
Yeah, so I use the blood type diet as my nutrition base, I guess you can say. And I work very diligently not to eat anything that is on the avoid. So the blood type app, so it's Eat Right for Your Blood Type is the actual name of the app and the book. And what it does is it allows you to choose your blood type. So you choose your blood type and then you can search the foods, or you can just like go to meats, and it'll give you a list of all the meats that are beneficial for your blood type, that are neutral for your blood type, and that are like avoid for your blood type. And the reason why you avoid them is because they cause inflammation.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. That's great.
And like I said earlier, inflammation is the basis of every disease. Stress and inflammation. If you're inflamed and then you stress, you can guarantee that's going to turn into some sort of disease. Yeah. And so that's why I follow that. And then after that, I go to, I guess, intermittent fasting version of keto, but I don't consider myself keto because I'm not like maxing out on the fat and the protein as much as some people might be, but fat, protein, vegetables, and like this much carb, this much gluten, and like this much sugar. So aside from that, I would have to say in the app part of wellness, I have got to give a shout out to Insight Timer.
Do it.
Love my Insight Timer app. It's right second after the blood type. Of course, I could meditate without my Insight Timer app, but I just love being a teacher on there. But I also love having it and interacting with the other teachers on there. And one of the teachers on Insight Timer, his name is Tom Evans. He has some of the best meditations. And he's the reason why I'm on Insight Timer, because I friend him on the app. We built a relationship. It took off the app. And then he showed me how to become a Insight Timer teacher. It's probably the nicest, sweetest, warmest community I've ever been a part of. So imagine social media minus any troll or negativity there is.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. The power of finding your tribe.
Yes. It just warms my heart. I just love Insight Timer. So real quick, I'll just throw two more out there for my ladies. The Clue app. I don't know if you know about this one, but it's tracks your menstrual cycle. And it usually is right on point. Like it really, really helps. And it's really good for people to have a bunch of symptoms that they need to track. I don't. My menstrual cycle is so simple. But if you are trying to get pregnant, this is really good. Or if you're just trying to be at your maximum health. Oh, there is a book. So the book is called When, When.
Okay.
And it's all about the best time of day to do the right things. And that book has changed my life. And there's a video, and I'll put that video in the show notes. But When led me to another book by Kate Northrup about the woman's cycle and how the best time of the month for us to be like creative, the best time of the month for us to like chill and relax, and maybe the best time of the month for us to be like strong and vibrant and move around and energetic. And so those are all good books, videos on wellness.
Is When by Daniel Pink, or is that a different
Yes.
one? Yes. Oh,
yes.
I love that one. That's a great book. I actually got to see him talk about it live in Chicago.
Oh.
Which was awesome because he's written other books that I'm a big fan of as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's awesome. And I'm going to put a video of his and it's about 30 minutes long, where he kind of wraps up the ideas, because I so wish, and this is another one I send to all my parents, because teenagers and night owls, the world is not made for you. The world is made for us early birds or larks.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I learned that. And I knew that already. And I would always, give grace to my night owls, because I had a good friend that was a night owl, and the world is not made up for you. So that's my wellness, like apps, videos, books, podcasts. And I know we are like going on 30 minutes now.
A quick power for the last two, like just a lightning round.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do a lightning round.
You want to start with wealth, or you want me to do life?
No, I can wrap that up in 1 minute. Okay. Life.
So for life, there are two people that come to mind. One of them is Lewis Howes, who has a podcast, The School of Greatness.
Okay.
Finished their 800th episode with Byron Katie. For any Byron Katie fans, she has an amazing book called Loving What Is. Also kind of more advanced in terms of your self-mastery evolution journey. Probably not the person that you want to start with, but super, super powerful stuff. So a lot of the people that Kanae and I have referenced in this conversation have been guests on his show. It's a long form podcast format, usually an hour long per episode. And it was how I got introduced to, for the most part, Esther Perel, Dr. Shefali Savari. And then the other person I recommend for life is a guy named Jesse Itzler. He's been a 2-time guest on the School of Greatness. He has a program called Build Your Life Resume. Really fascinating guy. He's like a skinny white kid from Jersey, and he was a break dancer growing up. And then he was also a rapper. He did the song Go New York Go for the New York Knicks. And I think he might have had his own label. Then he went on to sell his company, his private jet company, Marquis Jets, to Warren Buffett's NetJets. So he's an entrepreneur. He helped facilitate the sale of Zico coconut water to Coca-Cola. So he has kind of the creative side. He has the business side, the entrepreneurial side. He's a total fitness and health nut, which he talks a lot about in his course. And he also has 4 kids, and he's married to Sarah Blakely, the CEO and founder of Spanx, which is a billion-dollar women's underwear company. So his life is it's incredibly rich. He, in his course, is very, very focused on maximizing every day and kind of backwards planning your life. So he has this rule called Kevin's Rule, where every 8 weeks you pick something to do, whether it's with your family or your friends or just yourself, that you wouldn't normally do. And the idea behind it is that often in life, we schedule things when we feel like we have time for them versus first scheduling them and then making time for them. So he's a really high energy guy. He's just loads of fun, has tons of great tangible tips.
And he actually responds on Instagram.
He's super interactive on Instagram. And what I will say about Jesse is it's about the values. The values are service, it's family, it's about making an impact. And that kind of undergirds the entire course, which I think is what I really resonate with. I mean, there's certainly a lot of courses out there, but for me with Jesse, it's the values and then the playfulness, and then he gets shit done. So
Yeah.
Build Your Life Resume, Jesse Itzler, and then School of Greatness, Lewis House.
Yeah. And I would add to Jesse that he was on the Ed Milet show, which is somebody that I would mention in the wealth area because he's all about maxing out. And so check out Jesse on Ed Milet's show because they were getting to know each other on that episode. And so it almost like we were just like flies on the wall for their conversation as these two powerful, great men were getting to know each other and being really vulnerable and giving each other grace and giving each other dap for, you know, what they had accomplished. So it was an awesome episode, but also a learning episode where you took away something, even though you weren't a part of the conversation, you felt good to be able to listen to that conversation. So wealth, I'll start with apps. First, I would say banking apps, like banking and your credit card. Like if you are not using your bank or credit card app, shame on you. Like get on there. But my second favorite is sort of a banking app, but it's Coinbase. And Coinbase is where you can buy cryptocurrency. And so I dabble in it a little bit, don't know a bunch about it, know some, but one of my patients, she has a whole company on crypto education. And so one of the things that's important to me is whatever my patients are doing, I completely and totally support them in any way that I can. And so in order to have like fluent conversations with them, sometimes I need to dabble and find out what they're doing. But this particular patient, I'm helping her. The reason why she's coming to me is to grow her company, because a lot of times people don't realize that your wealth goals sometimes overshadow every other goal, right? Your love goals, your life goals, your wellness goals. You don't even think about those unless you get your wealth goal in place. And so she's really good at hitting her wealth goals. And so I'm helping her do the other stuff while helping her reach her wealth goals. Coinbase is cryptocurrency. So you can go on there, you can buy and sell or just dabble. You can use $10, whatever. So, and there are quite a few different cryptocurrencies on there like Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum. And like I said, I'm no expert at all, but because I'm in finance, because I'm in wealth, I do want to know what else is out there. So Coinbase is, and the reason why I like Coinbase is maybe they're not the best, but it's not a lot of crypto apps out there that are better. And they make it really easy to get in.
Yeah.
Clarity Money is my other app that I use a lot. And Clarity Money just gives you a real clear, easy to see picture of what you are doing. The last thing I'll mention, because I said all your banking apps and all of that, but if you have American Express is one of my favorite companies. Now, I know people hate credit cards and hate debt, but it's not about debt. It's about flexibility and availability. And I tell this story sometimes, but I got American Express in 2005. I became a member. And then in 2010, so the market crashed around 2008, 9, 10, I was beginning to struggle. Like I had to close my business. Things were happening and American Express noticed this because that's what they do. They do their research. And so they shut my car down, even though I wasn't even using it. And I was like, holy crap, I'm not even using the car. Why would you shut it down? There was nothing I could do about it. It was done. And then in 2015, they noticed that I was back on my feet and they contacted me and said, we want to give you your car back. Like, wow. That blew me away because I wasn't even going to apply. I was like, well, I guess they don't want me anymore. But they contacted me and they said, we want to give you your car back. And not only do we want to give you your car back, but we also want to offer the business platinum card to you as well. So that American Express app helps me stay in control of my personal and my business life because I have the personal card and I put everything on my personal card and then I pay it off. And then everything for my business, I put on my business card and then I pay that off. So I have two separate cards and I kind of run my life looking at that app. And that app just like keeps my life in control.
I love it.
Yes. So that's kind of all my apps. I'm trying to see. I said at my leg because Max Out, he's all about like reaching your wealth goals. But there's a book that I recommend to everybody. Super easy read. Actually, two easy books to read. And one is The Rules of Money. Richard, I'm not going to remember his last name, but I'll put it in the show notes. And the other one, believe it or not, is Don't Worry, Make Money. Super easy, simple book. It's by the author of Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, and it's all small stuff.
Yeah.
So that's it for me. How about you?
I think we covered a ton of territory. You're going to link up all the show notes, right, with the links to what we discussed. And, let us know in the comments how you're liking the recommendations and the impact that they're having, and stay in touch.
Yes, I'm with you. Like Leah said, let us know how you like our recommendations and what value you got from them, because we have gotten so much value from them. And that is all for today, guys. So make sure you activate your life starting today using the information we just gave you. And we will see you soon.
Bye, everyone.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. If you want more love and money conversations, subscribe to this podcast. Also, tell your friends about us. I'll see you next episode. But in the meantime, head on over to KeneQuarter.com for more tips, tools, and resources. And go ahead and leave us a comment if you like. We'd love to hear from you. This show is not to replace professional counsel. The best advice comes from a professional you know. The topics discussed in this podcast are general in nature and are for entertainment and informational purposes only. We encourage you to meet with a professional to discuss your specific situation, whether financial or therapeutic. That's all for now. I'll see you sooner. Remember, no matter what anybody ever tells you, you can have wealth in all of its forms. Believe it, and you will soon see it.